So, what do you get when you add Robin Hood, a knight, Mark Gatiss, and Doctor Who doing robots? Well, you get this week's episode, Robots of Sherwood, which is Mark Gatiss's first episode of Series 8, and one of his weakest scripts. But I'll explain more of that later. So here's Robot of Sherwood. So, this episode is one of those episodes where the Doctor meets a historical figure. But unlike most of the other episodes where they tend to fit the actor who's playing the Doctor at the time, this seemed more of a Matt Smith episode. Especially when the Doctor's fighting with the spoon. It doesn't really seem Peter Capaldi-ish. Anyway, the BBC is doing Robin Hood in Doctor Who. And it has done... the BBC has done a Robin Hood TV series. And now they're doing it in their most famous series on the network. So this, I thought, was a brave choice. And it is written by Mark Gatiss, Mark Gatiss is a very good writer, and I find his episodes always very entertaining. Not really, sometimes they're not good, but they are really entertaining. So, let's talk about the cast. Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, he seemed to be acting more of his previous self, like Matt Smith, especially with the spoon, and bickering with Robin, which I especially liked, especially in the prison scene, which I'll talk about more later. Jenna Coleman as Clara, she's been used more and more every week. This time she's just the sort of person who's separating the Doctor and Robin from arguing the whole episode. So, Robin Hood is played by Tom Riley. He is probably he's good as Robin, but the script just makes him seem like the cliched Robin. Oh, look, I'm Robin Hood. I'm a hero. Respect me. I steal from the rich, give to the poor, blah, blah, blah. Same with Ben Miller as the sheriff. Ben Miller, if you've seen him in Primeval or Armstrong Miller or Johnny English, he does do comedy really well. And the scene where he's marking on the map and going, mine, 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 and overreacts and then punches the robot and hurts his hand, that they may be cliches, but it was really entertaining. And the nod to Patrick Troughton was really good because he played Robin Hood once and he also played the Doctor, which was awesome. So the plot. Clara wants to meet Robin Hood. The Doctor says he's not real, but that's about it. He has no reason. He just says he's not real. Then they go to meet Robin Hood. He introduces them to Merry Men. The scene where the Doctor's analysing the Merry Men and sort of trying to find an excuse to say they're not real is really entertaining, especially when he goes up to the last Merry Men and says, "You've got 6 months left. Good luck, mate." Practically. So, the Merry Men are a bit generic, really. Anyway, then, after the competition, the Doctor uses some Venusian Aikido, which the third Doctor used, to disarm Robin. Then they get captured, then the sheriff, then Clara gets interrogated by the sheriff. Then the Doctor and Robin try to escape. Then Robin escapes with Clara out of a window. Then that's after the Doctor and Robin discover the ship which the robots are using, which are also basically Destination the Promised Land, which seems to be the overarching storyline of this series. Anyway, the robots are a bit generic, really. They are the same robots, or they're not the robot of the title. The voice of the robots is Richard Elfin. He does brilliantly. Anyway, what am I talking about? There's a deleted scene where Robin, in the final battle, Robin cuts off the sheriff's head, revealing that he's part robot. Then his body puts the head back on and then carries on fighting. But the problem is they cut that scene out but left the first line at the start of that scene in, so it just became a throwaway line, which is annoying. Anyway, the design of the robot's laser beam being a cross is a well, it is pretty clever, really. And the scene where they use the plates to deflect the robot's laser beams is brilliant. Anyway, I will talk about the highlight of this now. I didn't talk about it last week. The highlight of the episode last week was the Doctor showing Rusty his memories. Anyway, this week has to be, well, the prison scene, really. I was laughing. It is quite funny, to be honest. The Doctor actually bickering like a little child because he's being proved wrong. And the fact that Marion was actually included in this at the end was good. Really good. She doesn't get much to do, but it's still good. Anyway, the Doctor and Robin keep moaning at each other, saying the Doctor's not a hero, and neither's Robin. They'll hope they both go down in history. But it's never explained upon. It's never really expanded upon. That's it, really. And the fact that the Doctor rescues Marion and well, it was a good ending, and I figured if they're gonna do Robin and Robin Hood, they had to include Marion, which they did. Anyway, the robots. The robot ship, it was pretty generic, but I wasn't expecting much from the ship. And they're not the robots of the title, the sheriff is. Anyway, the melting down the gold to power the ship, good idea, but the fact that the Doctor noticed noticed that they don't have enough gold, yet the robots didn't, was pretty confusing. And the fact that they used the golden arrow to power the ship into orbit and then it exploded. Nice idea, yet any physics, or anyone who knows physics, knows that you wouldn't be able to fire an arrow like that. But this seems to be a child-friendly episode, because I think the writers of Doctor Who are thinking it's an older Doctor, yet they want to keep the child audience in, so every once in a while they need to have a child-friendly episode. It's either that or, hey, we need a comedic episode like all Doctors have every series. Anyway, so I gathered this is the series' historical figure episode, and the fact that the BBC had a really successful Robin Hood TV series, and then they thought, let's do Robin Hood in Doctor Who, I thought was quite brave. And I really enjoyed the Robin Hood TV series, so I was my expectations with Tom Riley was really higher than it should have been, but I practically grew up on Doctor Who, Primeval, Sarah Jane Adventures, and Robin Hood, really. Those were the main BBC TV shows I watched when I was growing up. So, this episode is good, and as I said, Mark Gatiss' episodes are always entertaining, but some of them aren't good. This is definitely a good one, but Paul Murphy is directing it. Ben Wheatley, after the past 2 weeks, has made a massive impression. So Paul Murphy had a lot to live up to, and I don't think he really lived up to the standards that everyone was hoping for. He did good directing, and the directing of the fight scenes were really good. But Ben Wheatley is definitely the stronger director of the series so far, and we have a new director next week. So, my final score for this episode is a 3... No... Well, it's not that bad. My final score is a 7 out of 10. See you next time.